the first time I heard the word Mahakal was actually the Virat Kohli video where he goes, Jai Mahakal.
Jai Mahakal, Jai Mahakal.
It taught me as a guy in Mumbai who's never heard of Mahakal, it taught me about Mahakal. What in the temple is calling these people?
Mahakal is that being which is at the last frontier of your imagination.
Wow.
And Mahakal is the highest form of Bhairava. There's no difference between Shiva and Bhairava. It is only the Maya of Shiva that makes you see these two as different.
I think that's the beauty of Sanatan Dharma in the first place, that you have options.
Absolutely. In this path, sanctified alcohol is offered to the mother, by the way.
Is that also consumed by the father?
Yeah, it becomes Prasad. The most powerful Shakti that has been created are three. First is sex, then money, then power. Everything is governed by these three. A man who goes beyond these three is the same.
So there are humans around us today on this earth which are reincarnations of a being that was previously in a lower realm.
Very often. Sri Aurobindo had written in some of his writings, somebody like Stalin, he was an Asura. So the greater the evil, the greater is the amount of damage it will cause. And in fact about Hitler also. Exorcism tried on Hitler by church during that time.
After every single spiritualism based episode on TRS, one of the top comments is always bring Rajarshi Nandy back on TRS. This is the first part of a 4-part series that we've built with Rajarshi Nandy during his recent Mumbai visit. We've centered the conversation around Bhairava and Shaivism based Tantra. We go into many tangential directions. You're going to enjoy this episode. It's just like the other Rajarshi Nandy episodes. What I will tell you is that he was in Mumbai in order to collaborate on a project with myself and with my Level Supermind team. Level Supermind is an app that I've built over the last 3 years. It's a mind performance app with a lot of guided meditations built into it. We've got lots of spiritual leaders who've created content on the app, but it's the honor of my life that Rajarshi Nandy's work is now also present on my app. So if you want even more of him after this episode, make sure you check out Level Supermind. He's recorded multiple guided meditations related to multiple different deities that'll kind of help you begin or go deeper into your own journey towards the deities. But for now, all I'll say is that Rajarshi Nandy has finally returned on TRS. I'm genuinely so happy to see you sitting in front of me, sir.
Same here.
And everyone else is also very, very happy seeing you on TRS.
It's wonderful to be back. And Jai Bhairava, Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Ma Tara.
Jai Bhairava, Jai Ma Kamakhya, Jai Ma Tara. This is the first episode I'm doing without a Tara statue sitting here.
Yeah.
Because they say that the purpose of statues and devices and yantras at some point is to make its way into your heart and being. So as long as the yantra device or even the mantra lies within your body, you've achieved the purpose that it was built for. Is that a fair assessment? Or you think murtis and other yantras actually have power that should be kept in the middle of podcasts always?
No, so that depends. So it's muktis have their power. There is no denying it. But at the same time, what you said is also correct. Eventually, as sadhana progresses, the greatest upasak is eventually that individual, breaking down all technical language aside, whose body becomes the yantra, whose mind becomes the mantra. Whatever he speaks, whatever he acts, it is the deity acting. Ma Tara has to be eventually, she should sit here in the mind, and it is her force that should work through the vak, speech. Okay, and that speech then acquires a capacity that is self-actualizing, means jisko what is known technically as vak siddhi. Eventually, okay, she has 3 forms. One of the forms is Neela Saraswati. She creates knowledge, a very spontaneous kind of outpouring of knowledge that happens. That is beyond jnana. Jnana is like very high level of knowledge you have that comes to Saraswati. She is something that gives you something even beyond that. Okay, it's something bursts out from within your being, and that is perhaps, for lack of better words, what is enlightenment. It is an illumination that comes out through the Shakti of words and through anything that you focus on. It's a different realm.
What was the word you used? Some Vak Siddhi.
Vak Siddhi. Vak is speech. Siddhi means accomplishment in speech, which is basically another way of saying that such individual, whatever comes out of their mouth, knowingly or unknowingly, has some way, nature will use all her resources to ensure that that comes true.
Okay, like as in what you say, the words you use can become a manifested reality.
Yes. Will become a manifested reality.
People like that exist in...
Everything exists. We may or may not be aware. We may not be able to meet such people. But everything is possible. Whatever is possible also exists.
Is reality an outcome of the wills of higher beings entirely? Or do we as simpler beings also contribute to reality?
I think everybody contributes at his level. Okay. So there is, this question comes in. If we rephrase this question, it is basically a question about whether there's destiny, whether there's free will. If things are...
Effectively.
So I had heard a parable long back. I don't remember who it was, some saint perhaps. So there's this young boy, who's standing and he asks the same question to the saint. And the saint tells him, Acha, why don't you stand on one leg? So he decides to stand on his left leg. Okay, left leg is standing, right leg he lifts up. Now he asks him, can you now stand on your left leg also? He said, no, then I'll fall. So he's saying what you did at that time created the karma. Now the reaction is here. Now it creates a constraint. If you lift the other leg also, you'll fall. That much is certain. So there is this constant feedback loop going on based on what you're doing right now, based on things you might have done, based on things that creates a momentum in your mind, body. This is what we call samskara. Things that you have carried from your past birth, remnants of various tendencies, upasanas that you have done, deities that you have worshipped, people you have interacted with, good, bad, everything. It comes along with that. But it is not fixed, by the way. So that is the game. So you cannot believe that, oh, well, everything is fixed. Why should I make an effort? No, you have to make an effort because by your effort, it is constantly getting modified. And this whole process is engineered by nature, which is so powerful, so fantastic. No human mind can actually comprehend the complexity of this.
Is your effort also manufactured then?
Perhaps. So it goes back it goes to a very deep state. See, this is where plugging in something from Jyotishas, we say something known as the Drira karmas, fixed karmas. So some aspects of your life may be fixed. For example, if you're born, you'll die. More or less, we believe that the moment of death, time of death, and the circumstances of your death, when you're going to die, who all will be present, etc. These things are fixed right at the time when you are born. Okay, so these are kind of things that cannot be changed easily. Whereas in between, what you do, where do you work, you change a company, you change a house, you have friends, you have this, that, etc. So those are more fluid circumstances that change. There is a certain degree of momentum of karma that is coming and certain activity that you are performing. These two are interacting and producing a result.
Okay. I'm still trying to dive deeper into the same thought of, is everything truly pre-planned, including your own personality and including the actions you take? Because free will as a concept is not something I've fully wrapped my head around. Okay, and to explain that, I'll try using my own life because it's probably the largest justice I can serve to this thought.
Right.
Because that's what you know best. When I play football, there's only one way I know how to play, which is I run all around the pitch. So I'm the guy who will be everywhere, etc. Football is a showcase of character. My friends know that I'm one of the most hardworking football players. And that's usually how my work happens also. I'm not the smartest or most talented, but I'll run around a lot. And there was a long phase in my life where I was arrogant about my ability to work hard. When eventually I realized that even your abilities are probably God-given. And even the hard work you're doing is fueled because of something else.
Right.
Why was I not able to work hard in engineering college? I mean, there are reasons for that. But I'm talking about from a natural perspective. The moment I got out of engineering college, there was just an urge to work hard. And unless I'm able to work hard, I don't feel a sense of peace. Now, is that truly my doing? Is that free will at play? Or am I pre-programmed to be able to work hard?
Free will and pre-programmed or fate, for lack of better words, are intertwined so strongly that it is very difficult to separate these things out.
You'll have to break down that sentence again. Free will and fate are intertwined so
Strongly that it is very difficult for an average individual to find out which part of it is fated and which part of it is my own effort. So the point is, there are two aspects. One is if you're a philosopher, and one is if you're the ordinary person living life. So ordinary person living life, your question is, what has nature given me? Nature has given you an intelligence, has given you a human body, and certain degree of judgment, your circumstances, etc. Within that, things that are inside within your capacity, which is say hard work, so understanding, okay, I need to get this job, I need to prepare for it, to go for an interview, etc. These are things you can do. So this intelligence nature has given you, which means that nature wants you to act based on that. So nature does not want most of the people to sit and think, is this free will or is this destiny? Will I get the job? No. Nature wants you to act according to that law. There will be 5 to 10% people who may have, again, for lack of better words, through their sadhana or whatever else, their mind may have expanded to another zone. For them, nature puts in these questions that no, now you see, is this the only reality? Is there other graded forms of reality? Is things predestined at some other level?
Wow.
And it comes down here in a way. And this concept, it may sound difficult, but it is fundamental in understanding whether a dream will come true or not, by the way.
Whether a dream will come true, as in whether any of your dreams...
No, I don't mean dream in a figurative way. I mean dream in a very literal way. When you have a dream, okay, when you have a dream, I was just explaining to somebody 2-3 days ago. So when you have a dream, so people have vivid dreams and all that. So many people have dreams. Good 60% of the dreams come from your own subconscious mind, which are completely junk. It's completely useless. You might have seen something, heard something, that only your mind comes and tells you. Then there is a percentage of the dream that is basically a reality that is happening around you, but your conscious mind refuses to acknowledge it. So then your body and subconscious tries to tell you that ye ho raha hai, this is what is happening. And that is the only time it can do is when you are sleeping. Then there is another dream which comes from a higher level of reality. But this level is not very far from your physical existence. So your reality is both your physical existence and your conscious existence. So where is your consciousness linked to? If your consciousness is linked to the material plane, it is fine. If your consciousness is linked to the plane of the deities, then you live here, but you're not exactly here. Part of you are somewhere else also.
Can you link your consciousness to the realm of the deities by simply thinking about it?
Very tough. Possible, but you must be an individual with tremendous concentration power.
Which is what bhakti technically is.
Not always.
Okay.
So when you ask me this question, there are multiple answers I can see from there. So I can't fully agree. I can't fully disagree. Okay.
Fair.
So let me complete that chain of thought.
Yes.
So there is a realm which is not very far from our physical plane. Let's just, for lack of better words, let's call it a lower astral plane or astral plane sort of. Okay. Sometimes dreams will come from there and you will see it is very accurate, like specific details are mentioned, X, Y, Z, ye hone wala, that is going to happen, this is going to happen, etc., etc. So those dreams will either happen at a very quick pace, say within 10 days, 15 days or a month maximum, or it can also be changed by the right corrective measures. Suppose the dream says that you might have an accident. So you take precautions, whatever else, jo bhi hai, and you might avoid the accident. You might have just a little bit of scratch on your hand instead of something big. Yeah, you can avoid fully also. There's another dream, and this is the rarest. This comes from beyond the astral planes, which is, again, for lack of better words, let's call it the spiritual planes, the planes where the gods reside and the higher realities are, where ignorance is very less. Okay, those realms, if it comes from a dream, the dream takes time to manifest. It is not going to happen in one day. It will take years. But nothing in the universe can change it. It is something that has been already executed in that realm, and it is just waiting to manifest here. And nothing can be done about it. It is going to happen. It will not happen immediately. Because time doesn't go in the same pace in all realities. So if that happens, maybe a year, 2 years down the line, it is definitely going to execute. If it's going to happen in a very, very visible and proper way. And generally those dreams do not come very often to people, that realm. but it can happen to people who are into sadhana or who have a spiritual bent of mind sometimes. And those can dictate to you things that will happen years later, 5, 6, 10 years later also. And they're unchangeable, by the way. Those dreams are unchangeable. So the point is, whenever a dream happens in an individual, unless he has the capacity to first investigate and understand which realm this dream is coming from, so you will not know. Not every dream is supposed to be taken seriously. If it comes from this realm, then it is definitely going to happen. And then also there's nothing much you can do about it. It's set.
All my life, some very important literal dreams have involved animals. And this began happening to me in my teenage. So I would Google it a lot. Dream about orcas, dream about lion, dream about pigeon, whatever. Eventually, I realized that there's a bunch of websites, including one website called arabicdreams.com.
Okay.
And I realized this is a phenomenon across culture where people have had dreams about animals for years. Is that spiritually significant? Because each animal is supposed to represent something. And perhaps it is confirmation bias on my part where I see something and then I think that, okay, maybe this is what's happening. But very often it's come true. Like maybe it's confirmation bias. In my experience, I believe I actually wait for these animal dreams. And nowadays they don't happen as much. Used to happen a lot more when I was younger. Am I being shown animals because I relate with animals as ideas? Or generally, do people see a lot of animals in their dreams? And do they have any kind of spiritual significance?
So not everybody sees animals in the dreams. But again, just exactly what I told right now. So whenever you have a dream, whether it's an animal dream or other dream, first thing you have to understand is that is it coming because of your subconscious? Which means that are you interacting with a lot of animals? Say maybe you're reading books on animals. If it's a small child and who's reading some book that has got a lot of animal characters and all that, so that can play in the mind. Okay. Or you are working with animals somehow, animal rescue thing or something like that. So you have to be very objective. The mind, and not just the mind, the human ego is like this. We always want to believe कि कुछ तो मेरे लिए आ रहा है special. Okay? Because I am special, so the universe is treating me special. But the thing is that universe doesn't care. The quicker you realize this, that there's absolutely nobody who is special here, because like you, there are millions who have come, millions who are here, millions who will go, and the universe has been constantly watching happily. Okay? So watching the show. So once you realize that, there's an objectivity, a dispassion comes in. That is when you can investigate. First thing to be investigated is the dream coming from a lower realm or a higher realm? If it's a higher realm, my best guess, because I don't know without the exact dream, no two dreams are same. Even with animal dreams also, suppose if the theme is animal, two dreams will not be the same because they may not come from the same realm. It's very likely that animals are metaphorical for certain things that are happening in your life, and that is a way of your subconscious mind trying to tell you which you were consciously not acknowledging. More details than that I can't say without actually investigating of the dream or things like that.
A dream is an important part of Tantra?
No, it's an important part of human beings.
It is an important part of human beings.
Of course. Why do you dream?
You can't dismiss
whatever
it.
nature has given you naturally, without effort you dream, right? You don't have to put in a special effort. I mean, there are ways of putting special efforts and all that. A natural course. Whatever happens in a natural way, naturally occurs in a human being. Those are tools that nature has given you. And you can use them to the best possibility that you can imagine.
Okay. Great moment in the conversation to bring up sex. What is the purpose? Because the school of yoga, which I've followed as well until I met you, and you've switched me over a little bit.
No, it is Bhairava Baba. He's the one who does all things.
Until I met you and Bhairava Baba.
Yes.
Yoga often talks about restricting yourself, and I believe that there is power in that if you follow that path. It has a certain set bunch of rules,
right?
And if you follow those rules,
Yes.
eventually you will go fast
Yes.
down that path.
Yes.
Which is why even schools like YSS, where I've learned all my meditation and basics of energization
Yes.
exercises, that has power. It did create very, very big differences in my life. But I know for a fact that the school of thought related to yoga says that restrict your mouth and restrict your end. And the person who's able to restrict their mouth, which means don't eat everything that you want, and who's able to restrict their reproductive system, actually gains power over themselves. I do believe there's power in just this thought, but that's not really what Tantra says. I don't know if I've said something wrong about the world of Tantra.
Nothing wrong. I'll rephrase this.
Sure.
So what you are saying is correct. If you have control over what you, in fact, more than eating is one aspect, what you speak. That is another thing we completely mistake. Half the problems of the world are because of speaking, not speaking, speaking more, speaking less, in the right manner. Communication is the problem in the world. Okay. So speech and your reproductive organ, if you have a control over it, that is in classical yoga, that is very important to have a control, because you are trying through various methods, whether it is through physical yogic exercises or control of your prana, to awaken that latent power inside. Same thing, and it will push you upwards as a kind of boost to your spiritual evolution. In order to do that, whenever you are specifically indiscriminate use of these reproductive organs, indiscriminate use of sex, enhances that force inside your being, which actually kind of debilitates or hampers this process. So that is why the idea is you restrict, or you go into brahmacharya even. Okay, you completely stay away from sex. Here the catch is not just the physical thing, you have to be mentally also in that state.
As in, you can't even think of sex.
Yeah, that is more difficult than that. Because what is going to happen in this world, the most powerful Shakti that has been created are three. First is sex, then money, then power. Everything is governed by these three. Destinies are connected to these three. A man who goes beyond these three is a saint. That is the first step towards sainthood.
Sex, money, and power.
Yes, all three, everything, good and bad. Everything. Whenever human beings revolve around these three chakras, and these three chakras are just this: sex, money, and power.
Okay.
Power comes from here. Power will manifest as your ego or corruption or greed. I want more. Same thing happens in all the three, by the way. There's an element of greed involved. So once you enjoy it, once you enjoy power, once you enjoy sex, once you enjoy money, the next thing is that I want more of it. I want more of it. And that will, the moment you want more, it is going to corrupt your discrimination power. And then you will make mistakes. And then you will justify the end justifies the means, which is never true. Till the time your grahas are good, you will have a good run. Then the day things change, you will fall. And that is all destinies in the world. Human life revolves around these three things. Everything. Fundamentally.
But say if you are doing a Tantra practice, as is the case with so many of the listeners who are listening in. What is Tantra practice? It's practicing upon a mantra. Using a yantra. If you are abstaining, if you are keeping a sattvic diet intact, you're trying to also follow the yogic way. Will it add power to your practices?
So coming back to the fundamentals of Tantra sadhana, the way I read from the text and the way I believe it works. So Tantra believes in a graded form of practice. Okay, the initial stages, which is that it believes in what is known as Dakshinachara Tantra, the right hand path, let's say, for the sake of easier understanding. So there, all these rules come into play. So you have restriction of food, what you are eating, you have restriction of physical intimacy, and whatever rules are there, all are there. But you have the liberty to use all mantras, all yantras, all tantras. Okay, everything can be done, but only in the sattvic manner. This is Dakshinachara. Okay, and it's very popular in a lot of places in India. Large part of Tantra sadhana that goes under practicing Tantra, a lot of people actually do Dakshinachara Tantra. Okay.
I would argue that even any Hindu in India who's doing a puja at home is actually doing Dakshinachara Tantra.
So you have to understand this. So when you're doing a puja in home, you might be doing it in the Puranic method. So Tantra comes into play when those mantras and yantras come into play. Without that, there is no Tantra.
Gotcha. So
Okay.
what's a version of a sattvic yantra?
No, Sattvic Yantra nahi. So basically, you will need even to practice Dakshinachara Tantra, you need to have an initiation into it.
Okay, gotcha.
So that is the entry criteria. Okay. So without initiation also you may worship, but that worship there are restrictions that certain mantras cannot be done, should not be done, may have a counter effect on you.
So if I'm doing my Om Bhairavaya Namah jap, which I've learned from your video, am I not initiated and am I not doing Tantra yet?
Let's say this is the preliminary stages. You are doing sadhana that is akin to Tantra sadhana. But that is not fully Tantra sadhana. Full Tantra sadhana requires an initiation and a proper one. So here, for the sake of clarity to the listeners, when I say initiation, I don't mean upadesham. So there are two things. One is upadesham is an advice. So I tell you chant Om Bhairavaya Namah, or I tell anybody, that is an upadesham. Okay. Now for initiation is a puja that the guru will do, who's qualified to do, on a disciple. And the aim of the puja is basically so that that specific individual from that point onwards will worship Devi, mostly Devi mantras, Mahavidya mantras and all that, without, there should be no obstacles in his path. This is called the Abhishek Diksha, and that is very important in Tantra.
There should be no obstacles in his path.
Yes.
Means
that you are starting off in the journey of sadhana. Say, suppose you want to do Mahakali sadhana. So it's simple. Or Matara sadhana. You go to a guru. The guru says, okay, you have fitness for it and all that. So on an auspicious day, he calls you. He does a specific puja in your name. You will be part of the puja, havan, and a lot of things will happen. And then he will give you the mantra after that. And say from now on, he will tell you what are the rules of the mantra, how to chant, when to chant, etc., etc. And the aim of the puja is basically, in his parampara, the deities he worships and the others, he's asking them that there should be no obstacles in the path of his sadhana. Let his sadhana go smoothly. Okay. And that is important when one enters into the realm of Mahavidya sadhana. Mahavidyas are very intense forces. That becomes important. Now, coming back to the question, after Dakshinachara, there is a stage that is Vamachara. There are certain tantric schools that don't go into Vamachara. They only restrict themselves only to Dakshinachara. But there are Kola Tantras which specifically mention, and there are very fantastic texts from 10th century, 11th century, a lot of them actually, text after text. Shastras are very clear on this, that after you master Dakshinachara, then you enter Vamachara. Vamachara is left. Vam means left. Okay. So this is where till now you are doing everything, but you are doing in a sattvic manner. So you are using the mantras. You have the right to do Mahavidya sadhana on this in Dakshinachara. Say you are doing Matara or Mahakali upasana. You are doing the japa. You are doing mantra anushtan. Baki, everything is there except you are using sattvic ingredients for the puja. The moment you enter into Vamachara, you have to start using the Panchatattva. Panchatattva is where meat, fish, all these things will come into play. Whether you like it or not is irrelevant. It has to be offered to the deity with the right mantra. The idea is that it's the natural course of development of Shakti that is happening in the Dakshinachara. Standard way of your going. Now nature is saying that let's go the reverse way and see that whether your mantra works that way also. That things which you have denied yourself and said that no, this is wrong or this is dark. If your mantra and a sadhana is complete, it should work there also. If it is not complete, then it is only a partial condition. Like when I sit in the home in my asan, I feel very good. On the road, there is too much of traffic, I'm not feeling well. No, nature is saying at the end, everything is your home. You have to attain to perfection both in the light and the dark. You have to attain to perfection both in the sattvic and what technically people call rajasic or tamasic. Actually, the deities are neither rajasic nor tamasic. They are trigunatita. The texts tell you the Divine Mother is not sattvic. She is beyond the three gunas. She can assume sattva guna, she can assume tamaguna when the necessity of the activity demands it. When she has to fight an asura, she will attain that kind of capacity. And how can she switch these gunas? Because she is beyond the gunas. So you cannot become the mother, but you can at least aim towards that direction. This is the philosophical orientation why Vamachara came into existence and is very strong presence in the eastern part of India. From Kamakhya to Bengal to all, this is all somewhere or the other linked to Vamachara. In fact, in Tarapit temple and all, the bhog itself is fish and all is given to the mother daily. That's very standard. Nobody raises an eyebrow.
In Vamachara, when you're offering meat, are you also supposed to eat the meat?
Yeah, afterwards that's Prasad. So here the rule is that if you are entering into that deity's domain, generally it is a good idea if the Prasad comes to you not to be fussy about it. Why? If you are fussy about the Prasad, then my first question is, why are you even in this path? So it is like I go to a friend's house friend gives me some food, no, I don't want to eat the food. That's insulting to the friend. And this is not even a friend, it's a deity. So then you switch paths to something there you are comfortable with it.
The path of yoga teaches us that if you're eating meat, then you're also ingesting karmas.
Now, right, everything ingests karmas, I would say. Even your plant-based diet will also ingest karmas. But I use the term prasad. Prasad means something that has been sanctified by the power of the devata. Then it is no more, it's not about meat, it's not about vegetarian dishes, it's nothing. Prasad is a different category of thing. So, Sri Ramakrishna, Thakur Sri Ramakrishna, who was perhaps the greatest Kali upasaka that ever lived in the last 200-300 years. उनसे ऊपर कोई था ही नहीं. He was except अलग ही level. So towards the end of his life, he used to eat very less food. He had cancer towards the end of his life because he took in the karmas of a lot of disciples and people, all sorts of karmas. And that's his kindness. That's the kindness of a saint. And he used to almost stop eating non-vegetarian food towards the end of his life. But whenever the Bali Prasad used to happen, Mahakali temple, Bali will happen. Prasad used to be there. He used to, even as a respect, he used to not only do a namaskara to it and then take a little bit and just put it in his mouth as a taste. In his younger days, he had all this. All at a later stage, when it came from within him somehow, and plus his health was also failing, he decided that he will stick to very less, not even vegetarian. Actually, the food that he used to eat towards the end was, when normal vegetarians also won't be able to eat. So, because his health was also a little, but never did he ever disrespect the prasad that was given. Never did he ever say that you should stop the bali and all that. What is sanctioned in the Shastras is sanctioned in the Shastras. It is not based on your I like it, I dislike it. No. The reason why all this are given by the rishis, you find out what your tendency is. Accordingly, you do that. If you're not comfortable, why are you even stepping into that zone?
Yeah. I think that's the beauty of Sanatan Dharma in the first place, that you have options.
Absolutely.
And whatever we're talking about here is one path.
Exactly.
There are multiple paths.
Yes. And in this path, not only meat, not only sanctified alcohol is offered to the mother, by the way.
Is that also consumed by the upasaka?
Yeah. It becomes prasad. In fact, I remember once I was doing a mantra of Devi mantra, which had just appeared in my mind. Some issues were going on. So I thought I'll just do one mala of it for 9-10 days. And I had a very fantastic result. And that inspired me to carry on the mantra. So there was a mantra I was chanting for a few days. And then at the end of it, after around 40 days of chanting, I visited a very old Kali temple. It must be at least 500-600 years old. It was in western part of India, which is not even eastern part. Okay, Rajasthan Kali temple. And it was a casual visit. I was visiting the city and I just went there. And I remember the Panditji was there. And I just put my hand like this. Charanamrita is given to whoever comes, Prasad or Charanam. So he looks at me and he pours something in my hand. And I just consume it. And there's a immediate, like a tongue, that this is not water. And then I'm looking at him and then he's smiling at me. So this was a prasad. This was sanctified karan, we call it, which was offered to the mother. And then he gave me a bit of the prasad.
It was alcohol.
Yeah. But we don't use the word alcohol. We use the word karan because it cannot be randomly just picked up. So there are mantras and processes through which it is purified. And then only it has to be offered to the deity, mother. And after that, it becomes prasad.
Okay. But you're just supposed to have a bit of it, I'm assuming.
No, that depends. So there are processes depending on the sadhana that you're doing. The thumb rule is that you can never allow it to control you. Basically, so this is not a license to get drunk. In fact, the Kola Tantras mention this very clearly. It's a very beautiful verse which says that if only drinking alcohol was enough, then every, your bar would have been filled with siddhas. But at the same time, the text says that there is nothing beyond the Kola. It is the final state. And it is by Shiva's Agya that the Kola is there and it exists. And it says that once you enter the Kola path, it's different. It's different from your wife, from your friend, from your relatives, from everybody. You are fit for it, you will reach the highest possible realms. And if you're not fit for it, you'll fall. It is the Kola path is to be entered after lifetimes of practice in Tantra also. It's not even the first stage. And there, certain processes are there where you might have to consume more also. But the key is you need to have that self-control to know how much you can consume and how much you should not consume. Because after consumption, you'll have to sit and do mantra japa. You'll have to sit and do puja. There can be no flaw in it.
Damn.
Yeah. If I may add an anecdote to it, there was long
Please.
back, I had...
We wait for these. But go on.
There was long back, before I even first came to Kamakhya, I had met one great Tantra upasak whose advice helped me a lot. I was still struggling to find clarity in certain aspects. That man was terrific. He was a upasaka of Mahakali, and not just normal Kali, Smashan Kali, cremation ground form of Kali. So he had first told me that you have to start going to Kamakhya because your route will be from there. So he once described to me an incident. He used to sit, once in a while, he used to sit in sadhana. So it's like this, he will have a sanctified bottle of Karan and he makes offerings to the mother with it. And then he consumes that, and then he does mantra japa, and then again another one, then again another. After some time, and the funny part is that when he used to do that, normally what I've seen in the average course, when people consume alcohol, they start behaving in all sorts of manners which they end up regretting next day. This gentleman, the more he used to take, the more serious he'll become. He's not laughing around, he's not joking, nothing. It's like deeper and deeper into meditation is going. Deeper and deeper. And after some time, the aura of that place would change such that you'll feel scared to even utter a word. He will not speak with you after that because his mind is going to the deity. There is a Shakti inside that thing, what we call alcohol. It is through mantras, he's using that Shakti as a boost to take his mind to the realm of where the deity is. But because it is very powerful, it has its negative aspects also, which is why in the traditional formal religion, it is kind of something that is, if we go by the laws of Manusmriti and all that, or the other Dharma Shastras, they allow you to eat meat. But so far as this is concerned, it's strict banned. You just can't have this. But Tantra says, no, we change this through the mantras, we purify it, we offer it to the deity. And even today, whether it's Tarapet, whether it's Kamakhya, she is offered this. And after that, you take it as a prasad.
We had another upasak on the Hindi podcast. His name was Parakom, and he gave us 2 incredible episodes.
Okay.
And I'm going to relay a couple of the things he mentioned. Of course, I'm going to relay a bit of it. Even those were anecdotes which were very elaborate. But in the first episode, he spoke about how in particular Kal Bhairav mandirs, they even offer tobacco. They offer cigarettes as prasad.
Yes.
You've experienced this?
Yes.
Same logic as what we spoke about with the liquor?
Little different. So what has happened is, over centuries, the upasana of Kal Bhairav has reduced in India. Something I had mentioned earlier also. So because of various reasons. The peak Bhairava upasana used to happen in Kashmir. So after that, Bhairava got relegated to the realm of Kshetrapala, protector. But the main upasana used to happen with Devi. So this offering of whether it's cigarettes or whether it's alcohol that's offered, Kal Bhairav mandirs, almost all Kal Bhairav mandirs will, you can offer alcohol to the deity, no problem at all. But it is done in a very less formal manner, if you look at it that way. If you go to the temple, so people can just buy a bottle and just give it to the Panditji and he will do some mantras and give it to them, etc. Whereas in the main Tantra mark, and therefore you can offer cigarettes and all that also, especially those pratishthas of Bhairav which are close to cremation grounds, definitely you can offer. And there are some places where even, in some places where Bhagavan Dattatreya is also offered these things. But Devi Pratishtha, properly Tantrokta Devi Pratishtha, normally we do not offer this. Because this, so we do as the Shastras tell you. It is not based on what you feel like.
But the Shastras contain something about cigarettes.
No, it doesn't. That's the whole point I'm trying to say. That it doesn't contain anything about offering cigarettes or anywhere. This practices, because the Bhairava practices were relegated to the sidelines, so these developed in a more local flavor. So people thought, I can give alcohol, I might give cigarette also. So that way. And Baba is kind. He accepts it. I'm not even saying that he's not accepting it. He's accepting it. But this practice does not have any basis in any Shastra. Whereas offering of alcohol is very clearly mentioned. There are elaborate chapters on what mantras to use, how to hold the patra. There is a particular mudra for it. Everything is there. So because Bhairava practices kind of remained on the sidelines, or even in the tantric field, and I mean this is like after 13th, 12th century when Kashmir fell, that was the peak Bhairava. So their Bhairava practices were based on shastras they had, Kashmiri Shiva shastras and all that. After that, across India, Bhairava practice was mostly confined to whether it's Kapalikas, Aghoris, or Tantrupasaks who take Bhairava as the Kshetrapala. So they are not particularly worshipping Bhairava, they are worshipping the mother. Bhairava is a protector of that area. So it's one of the Anga Devatas, Parivar Devatas, or even as a consort also, not that intensity of focus was on Bhairava. So what happened is some practices developed which is perhaps not approved by the texts. Cigarettes is one such. There is no text I have come across, at least to my knowledge, any of the standard tantras that mention anything about offering cigarettes.
Okay. Second story that he brought up, I forgot the exact name of the being that is being summoned, but it's a sort of dark usage of Tantra in the first place. I think it was Visha Kanya or something like that. If I'm not
Visha Kanya.
Visha Kanya. For lack of a better sentence to explain it, it's basically some sort of a darker angel or a darker demonic entity that you can keep with yourself throughout your life. But the process to get it is very elaborate. And the last stage of that process includes human feces and rubbing it on your own body and all that.
Actually, the term Visha Kanya is specifically used for certain types of feminine energies who have that capacity that they can destroy anybody the moment they get into any kind of equation, physical intimacy with an individual.
As in, you're referring to human beings?
It can be even invoked inside a human being. There can be women also specifically with certain yogas whose life will be like that. They have, so here there are souls that are born from different realms. There may be somebody who may have been some other realm has come down. If the deities can come down, things lower can also come down.
So there are humans around us today on this earth which are reincarnations of a being that was previously in a lower realm.
Very often.
Really?
Yes. Because this is the realm, this plane of ours is where things happen very fast.
That's our specialty.
Yes. Two things that are our specialty. One is that things happen very fast. Means your average human life, 70, 80 years max. So from the realms they come, 70, 80 years is like blink of an eye. Okay. 2-3 lifetimes you can change your destiny completely. माने तुम फकीर से राजा बन सकते हो if you have the determination for it. 2 to 3 lifetimes is nothing from where they come. From their realms it's like 600, 700 years you do nothing, चुपचाप बैठे रहो. Which is in our terms is like what 7-8 lifetimes is gone, right? So they like to come here, but nature is very smart. The maximum amount of Maya is also here. The maximum amount of deluding your mind, the force that can cause delusion to your mind and take you away from reality is also in this plane.
Taking away from reality through materialism?
No, reality means when I speak of reality, I mean the spiritual reality.
Yeah. So it's like saying that people think after our death, we go to the realm of dreams, but in truth, we are in the realm of dreams and we go to reality.
Maybe. That's one very poetic way of putting it.
Why, thank you, sir. No, but let's rewind back.
Yes.
So when you're saying Maya is all around us, Maya includes everything, including the taste of the pizza you eat,
Yeah.
the sex you have, the money you earn,
Yes.
the fame you earn on Instagram, all that is Maya. It's a material falsehood.
No. So here I differ with you. So there are certain philosophies that believe that Maya is to be rejected. It's a falsehood. Tantra doesn't say Maya is falsehood. It says it is the body of the mother. She has created this. Jo cheez ko tum Maya bol rahe ho, that is also her. That is a manifestation of her, but in a constricted manifestation. Your job is to see through that, see the larger manifestation of her. So it is not real. Your pizza that you're having is not real. You have to work through this realm. This realm, if you start with that idea that nahi, sab bekar hai, then you'll go nowhere. You have to first appreciate what is happening around you. Tantra starts that way. You don't have to, reject what nature has given you. So your natural tendency is to eat. Okay. if you leave aside all biases and if you look at the history of human development, you'll see that meat eating has always been there and it'll always be there. You may like it or dislike it, doesn't matter. Never ever is it going to happen a state where people will not eat meat. In fact, your gut has the capacity to digest meat. Okay, naturally it has happened. You did not create it. One individual did not create it. Natural tendency for sex, certain amount. I'm not saying excessive, or I'm not talking about perversions. I'm talking about a normal healthy tendency, to the extent that we have dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Kama is desire. Desire is actually considered as a very good thing within limits. Okay, it makes your life happy. Why should you not be happy? Why should always you have to be grumpy about it ki sab chhod ke mujhe bhagna hai? No. So Tantra says all these things that has been given to you, that which is deluding you, let us now find a way that inside it, what is the germ of happiness, germ of spirituality inside it. I will use these very things that are supposed to make a person fall to help myself ascend upwards. I am not going to reject it. Ki nahi mujhe ye nahi karna, mujhe nahi jana. No. But yes, to do that, you have to have discipline. Certain amount of disciplined way. So when coming back to the question that you had asked, even when sex is to be used, it is to be used in a very disciplined way. It is not indiscriminate. Which
You're talking about Tantra.
Tantra.
Okay.
Outside Tantra, I'm not interested. In Tantra, it is used in a very disciplined and specific manner. It is not something that is random. So we do not reject Maya. Maya is basically your capacity to not see the whole picture. The largest picture is that there is a constant reality. The smaller picture is that we are sitting and having a discussion. And this, that, whatever else you are going on, smaller picture. Okay. Now, the idea is you see the smaller picture, but you don't run away from it. You appreciate it, you connect to it, and you find something meaningful out of it. That is where Maya, the philosophy of Tantra, differs from the philosophy of few other Vedantic philosophies, where Maya is kind of looked at as, okay, it is very negative, we should not go into that. So there we are saying that it's not necessarily negative. There's a bit of ignorance into it. That is because the great Shakti who has created this universe, she constricts herself. Small, so that for our understanding, and eventually enters even into the inanimate object also. Now, your job as an upasak is that find her even in here. It's not that God is up, God is around you. The divine is around you. That is the first principle of Tantra. Divine is around you, you find it, and in order to find, there are certain practices and all that. Mantras, whatever it is. Okay. So that is very important. Now, the other thing is, what is an individual's Maya? Everybody has some Maya, by the way. Constantly. Anything that you are very strongly attached to is going to create some impact on your mind. Let's say that is Maya. Okay. That anything that you are attached to. So you are attached to, say, suppose you are attached to money. And suppose you have a loss. So obviously you will feel bad. Everybody feels bad. Right. So that is how this kind of attachment is the thing that is problematic in this world. And the ability to switch from attachment to detachment is the capacity of a great human being.
Perhaps romantic love is also one of
Yes.
the greatest attachments of our
100%.
realm. You think you love your wife or your husband.
Most of it is destiny, emotions, hormones, this, that, etc.
Do you love your wife?
Everybody loves their wives.
Okay. This is something I've thought a lot for myself. Right? It wasn't meant to be a stabbing question. I was actually wondering for myself that I do feel myself getting more detached with the Bhairava mantra, and I'm at such a preliminary
But
stage.
for specifically for an upasak, it is very good to have a partner. Like if you're a man, then having a wife, or if you're a woman, having a partner who understands the practice and who also practices. If there is a complementary practice, then it is very, very helpful. In that sense, my wife's practice really helps me. She also does a lot of upasana, and that actually allows me the freedom to do sadhanas which I can do otherwise I would not have been possible.
Perhaps love, especially from the tantric perspective, is much more about spiritual companionship.
Spiritual companionship, and even non-tantric perspective also. At the end of the day, it is companionship and adjustment.
Yeah, fair. I mean, any couple that stays together in the long term has become each other's spiritual companion.
Yes.
You live as one being.
Yes, provided there is a... So it is not always the case, by the way. So I've seen the opposite sides of it also. So that is why I advise people that if your partner allows you to do sadhana without obstruction, And so long as you're doing sadhana, that is, there's not destructive sadhana. ठीक है, वो भी हो सकता है. वैसा नहीं, normal course में you're doing a standard spiritual upasana. And if your wife or husband does not obstruct you from doing that, then consider yourself lucky.
Okay. The overarching conversation here was about negative beings. Sorry to bring it back there. That's not something I know that you enjoy.
No,
I mean, I know that you don't enjoy talking about it, but I think my question is much more about reincarnation of negative beings to understand our reality better. Because if you simply look at everyone on earth as one family for the sake of this thought experiment, we're a set of souls, some sitting in Mumbai, some sitting in Banaras, some sitting in Dubai, some sitting in London, some sitting in Argentina, America, some scientists in Antarctica. Somewhere we're all connected. Are we all put into this reality to get out and go to the next one and live our own random material lives and eventually find something spiritual over the course of many, many lifetimes? Is that the reason all of us are here? Because that's something I've thought a lot about. But when we're talking about this Visha Kanya and these negative beings that also are within our reality, perhaps in a human body for one lifetime.
No, they could be for more lifetimes also.
Really? And the tendencies manifest?
Yes, of course.
As what? Evil?
Evil. Evil will do evil.
Like murderers, criminals.
I sometimes feel that a lot of the serial killer types are possibly some kind of negative beings who have been either incarnated or, which is easier for them to do, which is influenced by them. It's very easy for them to influence human beings. Very easy. Specifically, some people who vibrate to those things, which means that there is a craving for three things: money, sex, and power. Any of the three deep cravings are there, and they have the capacity to very easily read those cravings in a human being. So accordingly, they will, give you that reward and think, you do this, you do that, etc. Eventually, they will lead to disaster.
Which is this whole Illuminati conversation.
Possible.
As in the conspiracy
There's
of
a
the
theory,
Illuminati. That many are governed by demonic entities. Like
Right.
I have a lot of Catholic friends who talk a lot about this, how there's probably a lot of powerful people in the world who are governed by demonic entities. We are giving the Sanatani Tantric version of the same story here.
No, yeah, I do believe that perhaps this is true to some degree, though I don't say that I have any direct knowledge of it, but it makes sense if you think about it properly, and if you see the kind of evil and good that is there. So the world is like a small playing ground where the most supreme power, which is Adi Mahashakti, she allows everybody to come in and have your fun. You fight it out. See who wins. When balance tips very badly, then there is an avataran. There's a great force, there's a great being whom we worship as Lord Vishnu. He comes down to set the balance again.
I'm so excited and yet at the same time not surprised that you got the exact question I was asking without me asking this question. Like when you use the word playground, that's exactly what
Yes.
I was visualizing in my head.
Yes.
My question to you is, what is this playground that we call the earth?
So this is a playground to determine what you want to become.
Free will again.
You have been given a free will. So you want to do evil, you can carry on. And there will be consequences to it. So there is no free anything here. So there's a playground and there is the law of karma. There's karmic repercussions of it. You want to... there are a lot of people who are not evil, who don't want spirituality also. They may be interested that I want a bit more money and more power and more fame, which is okay. They're trying for that. The moment you take shortcuts and things like that, the various types of shortcuts, then you allow evil to enter into your mind space, your life. And shortcuts means it could be general shortcut, like say you bribe somebody, it's small level shortcut, okay. This thing only, you take a very large shortcut, you say that no, I will actually start worshipping some of these negative entities, negative forces, and it's there across the world, by the way. Every religion has it everywhere in the world, some of these things, in return for quick gains. The moment quick gains come in, they start and that entity has its own agenda, by the way. It's not going to give you anything for free. Nothing in the world that is worth useful and generally genuine comes for free and comes quickly. Beware of anything that comes quickly, especially spirituality. If it comes very quickly, then beware whether there is any shortcuts or something like that. कुछ तो गड़बड़ कहीं पे हो रहा है ऐसा. It has its time.
What's an example of a very quick spiritual gift? Very quick initiation, perhaps.
No, initiation is fine. Initiation by itself doesn't. These days, getting an initiation is just very easiest thing. Okay, if you have some contacts, some people you know, some money, easily you can get initiation. And I've seen hundreds of people initiated into Tantra. उसके बाद कुछ नहीं हुआ. Okay, they were duffers before. They've remained spiritually duffers even after that, because there is something more that anything that becomes very easy also loses its value. That has happened in all fields, including Tantra, unfortunately. So there are evil entities. Some people take that corruption to another level where they actually start striking some kind of a so it sounds transactional, but it is a transaction actually. But it's more like you invoke those entities for quick gain, quick fame, quick money, quick power, whatever it is. And that entities can help you if you follow their method of worship. And in return, they will also take their pound of flesh.
We had done that one episode, the infamous one on Rakshasas, Asuras, Bhoot. It was done for a couple of reasons. One, that whole phase of my YouTubing journey was about the occult, and I genuinely had curiosity to explore it. But the second reason is, at that point, I felt that that's how you can attract a YouTube audience to come and listen to what the truth about Tantra truly is. I thought it's a great marketing ploy. When you're talking about these entities right now, are they also amongst that same...
Yeah, they fall in that same scale.
That set we spoke about.
They belong to that school only. Maybe the class is different. Somebody in class 5, somebody in class 10, वैसे type का.
Okay.
So it's the same within that realm. So these things, the last that you described, those are very dirty kind of practices where you have to use your own feces and all that. It's there. Specifically, specific types of beings which are very negative, which are called pishachas and all that. Those who worship them, they use those things.
So even this Visha Kanya would come in that same scale.
Somewhere there in that.
Got it. For those of you who've not seen that particular episode, it's a very scary episode. I do not recommend that you watch it if these kind of conversations trouble you. And for those of you who want to go watch it after this particular episode. It is equally exciting as well. It's scarier than a horror movie. We'll link it down below. You're my 9th conversation of this week.
Right.
So it doesn't feel like a regular podcast because I'm just talking to you and I ask you my doubts anyway. But it does require a slightly heightened level of focus. Right. I don't know if you feel a heightened level of focus when you're doing these.
So in general, when these conversations come, there has to be the energy. If it has to impact an individual. So what is it that impacts? It's not the words that impact. People think that for any speaker, it's the importance of the words, the specific. No. Behind the word, there's an energy that goes out from the speaker. And it is that energy, the quality of the energy that will determine if there is going to be any impact or not, or what kind of impact.
Yeah. I want to actually talk a little bit about the project you and me are also working on.
Yeah.
In a very brief way, we won't even break it down too much. But you've recorded meditations for Level Supermind.
Right.
And we were just talking about how outside, when we are recording meditations, you do put your spiritual force into it.
Yes.
I would argue that it is almost slightly physically draining while you're recording it. I don't know if you had the same experience.
Slightly, yes.
Because you're kind of leaving it for a permanent purpose that it should heal people 30 years from now also. So for that 15, 20 minutes that you're recording the meditation, you're really putting your life force in. 2 questions. One, did you feel that bit of power exchange? And the second is, when we talk about using spiritual force to create something artistic, where is it originating from? Yourself? Or is it passing through you and then the passing through is the tiring phenomenon?
So initially, I enjoy the concept of the project and I hope that it is really helpful to people. They can, use it for Bhairava meditations. And so create something so powerful and so permanent that it is not dependent on the individual. So the energy has to go on, and it will benefit it. There will be people who are coming later, they'll use it, they may have great experiences, they may reach a stage much higher than you and I can ever reach. Anything is possible, right? So all that way is very good, yes. But whenever I don't know about other people, when I am having a conversation or trying to this kind of conversations, spiritual conversations, so there is always a bit of an energy drain that happens. That has to be somewhere, it has to take in from some source that is there, which is okay. Then again, that's why my practices replenish that energy every day when I sit.
Yeah, the listener perspective for Rajarshi Nandy is that you're a very gripping speaker. Now,
Okay.
if we truly reverse engineer that phrase, that why is this human being a gripping speaker? I think you use the right words at the right time, and you use the right amount of silence at the right time. And that actually helps people listen in more closely. I'm also trying to develop that with age. But then with someone like you who's so connected to their deity, I'd argue that the deity is governing your speech.
To an extent, yes. There is something. So, like yesterday, I was talking. If you ask me to speak on Bhairava for 5 minutes, say, right now, I can tell you some things. 1 hour later, you ask me, I can tell you that, but it will never be exact repetition of the same, because it's not scripted. As I keep speaking, there are things that pop in the head, and it's very difficult to explain. These things happen in the blink of an eye, faster than the blink of an eye. And I see things as images and certain things, and I know that, okay, this is an idea that links here, and this is how it must come out. What is the right word? If my energy level is high, even the phrase will come in, for fuck's sake. And I can just, my job is to deliver it and then not bother about it. For that, the tuning has to be correct. The energy level has to be high. Coffee is very useful. And if my practice, or generally that day my energy is well connected, that is why. So I can deliver every time I say on Bhairava, the information wise it will not be too different, but there is the subconscious power that comes in, which is going to be different every time.
Subconscious power makes it different.
Yes.
I've always wanted to ask you this as a bro and not as a podcast guest, that all this information that you have in your head, I've asked you this before also, and you've answered by saying that you've read the work of Sri Aurobindo. And then we've had that whole tangent.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that you know about. I know you began in engineering college, and I know you weren't in an IIT. So you were a good student, obviously, but you weren't the best student or anything like that. So you're not like someone with a photographic memory, at least I would argue. Like, my point of saying all this is, academically speaking, you're definitely smart, but you're not in that
absolutely
top rung. So how do you have this ability to remember so much now at age
43?
43? Has it developed with time? Is it an outcome of you remembering everything you're reading? Or is it again the deity kind of acting through you?
No, it's so deity chooses the right vessel. So I do, it's not like I don't remember. If I enjoy something, I'll remember that. If I've read it, so I have it's not a photographic memory or anything, but the gist of it remains with me, and for a long time. Remembering is not the thing. What I feel that the blessing that comes is that, suppose I'm speaking of a particular topic, and speaking for me is not just speaking. It's like, for lack of better words, it's you have to focus, you have to concentrate. It's like a meditation in a way. So right moment, something or the other pops up that you had read that book many years ago, and that paragraph, and there was this story. The meaning of this story is, I am also understanding at the time. This is how it links. And that is how it comes. And it happens very fast. It happens organically. I can't replicate it again. This is what just naturally happens if I am in the right mood, and if my energy is correct, and if I have a receptive audience. That is very important, by the way. It's extremely important for me. So
you bounce off the energy.
Yeah. I don't speak. So if somebody is in front of me, I know that from the body language, you don't have to speak. I know that is not tuned to accept spiritual realities, or there is something about the individual which doesn't gel with me, for lack of better words. With due respect, then I'll completely avoid any spiritual conversation. Fair. I'll speak of the weather, there's that game and everything. I'll consciously avoid. these conversations should be in an environment where there is a certain degree of receptivity. And that is how it works best, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm not going to take the name of this person, but he's a friend of mine. He's a very big YouTuber.
Okay.
And he is an atheist. And he's a good guy. Like, he's a kind-hearted guy. I don't think people know that about him. So they make a lot of judgments about him on the internet. He's a very successful YouTuber.
Okay.
And he's doing well for himself. But he's, as we would call it, a cutter atheist. I love hanging out with him because there's very intelligent conversation that comes out. That's what I'll do. I won't talk to him about this kind of stuff. I've always looked at him when he's propelling atheism. And I've wondered to myself, dude, like, I love you and I'm not going to counter you because you won't accept my counters in the first place. But in that playground scheme of things, in this realm that we're in, there is a couple of questions for you. What is the purpose of an atheist? And secondly, with a guy like this who's materially successful, very, very intelligent, critical thinker, but kind of hates the idea of God or dislikes the idea of something beyond rationality and scientific evidence. What is their role in this earthly playground, in this life? And then I would argue over the next 2, 3, 4 lives as well. The only personal anecdote I have here is I have another friend who's been an atheist all his life, and he's gone through some tough times, and finally he's reached a point now where he goes like, you know what, bro, I don't believe in God, but I definitely believe in the universe. And it's the first time hearing him say this since age 13, and we're 30 years old. So in 17 years, for the first time, he's spoken about something metaphysical. And I'm like, cool, that's progress at least. So back to those first 2 questions. What about the average atheist? What about materially successful atheists?
So the first point is that when I say the word playground, it's a playground of possibilities. Every possibility that you can imagine, every possibility that can happen, okay, good and bad regardless, everything, all shades of all colors have been allowed to have a free run. So which means that the atheist is also important in this scheme of things. Whatever little percentage it is there, because you know what is faith only when you understand, when you see atheism also. So it is like the whole world is a counterbalance between things. You know, one side you have people, I'm generally speaking, a lot of spiritual people have reservations about Tantra, using meat and all that. So ye aapka kahan se aa raha hai? Because you have a certain perspective that this is something like that.
Premonition.
Premonition bhi nahi. Premonition is the wrong word. So you have an idea that supposedly there is what I call the sattvic ego. Okay. I am very high and all that. So, but that comes with perspective of something, right? I don't agree with that, and I completely find it funny. But regardless, my point is that this whole world is a constant comparison. There is no reality that is not without a measuring scale. This is what is duality. So duality, in order for it to function, there has to be all aspects of a thing. You cannot just have one sample and then ask कि ये अच्छा है कि ये बुरा है, कैसे पता चलेगा? In comparison to something only you will understand this is good or bad. You know there are gods, that is why there are asuras. And there are believers and then there are non-believers. Atheists. So from my philosophical point of view, everybody is there, everything is there in this world, everything, all the darkest shades to the purest shades, everything. Great Siddha Purushas are there, tremendously evil entities incarnated in human beings that are also there. Everything is there simultaneously. It's happening. It's like a playground and a battleground. Okay.
How would you quantify tremendously evil?
Say Stalin. So how many people did he kill? Okay, I don't even know the numbers. Say, or the Nazis, or tremendously evil, right?
Inflicting pain within this realm.
Pain, horror at a mass scale, not for 1 or 2 individuals. So the greater the evil, the greater is the amount of damage it will cause.
That's wow. I didn't expect you to answer that question. Like when that question left me, I was like, I wonder how Sir will answer this, but.
The amount of damage at the end of the day, like I was explaining, it's only your actions that matter. what you feel inside, मैं बहुत संत आदमी हूँ, I am very bad, I am depressed, I am happy. Nobody cares. The world doesn't care. What are you doing? What is your activity? Based on your activity, you will be judged. Okay, so your activity has been so evil. Somebody says, your means says Stalin, somebody like Stalin, so evil that I don't know, millions and millions and how many he killed and all that. You can be very safely, you can categorize him as an individual who is extremely evil. Right?
You'd argue it was a reincarnation from a lower realm?
No, I would like to, I think Sri Aurobindo had written in some of his writings, he was an Asura.
Stalin.
He was an Asura.
Shri Aurobindo has categorically written this.
Yes, I don't exactly remember which text was it right now because I read it long back, but he was quite clear about this. And in fact, about Hitler also, by the way. He had mentioned that there's a very interesting episode where he mentioned that there is a being who used to appear in front of Hitler, dressed up as, he used to call itself as the Lord of Nations or something like that, dressed in some kind of a silver attire or something, would appear in front of Hitler and would direct him where to attack and what and all that, etc. Various things were there. By the way, there was a exorcism tried on Hitler by, I think, the church during that time.
Really?
Okay. So all these things are there. Atheists can disbelieve, that's okay. But so from the believer's point of view, it is the activity of the individual which will determine. And the greater is the evil, greater is the stamp it will leave. So remember this thing, that the depth and the strength of the evil is understood equally. Depth and the strength of the good is understood by the impact you leave. It is the activity that finally determines. So one individual, if there is suppose there is a spirit, okay, trapped somewhere in a house or something, causing trouble to one individual, maybe possessing, it's bad situation, but it is not an evil of that caliber. That caliber evil is not interested in one or two individuals. It is interested in doing such an activity that will cause a lot of damage.
Creating a dent in humanity.
Sort of. That's what their primary aim is.
But karma always works even for them. Even they
It works
karma.
for everybody.
And they're not aware, like these entities which create evil at a mass scale.
No, their purpose is to create evil. They do not function by the laws of human morality. Human morality is only for humans. It's neither for the gods, not for them, by the way. Even gods don't function based on human morality. It's our system that we have created to keep things under balance. Otherwise, these three things, lust, power and money, will
corrupt.
Humans do not have the capacity to handle these powers infinitely. It will completely corrupt. Self-inflicted injury will come. In order to regularize things, make it more sane, make it more livable. That is why the idea of morality and ethics came into play.
I'm wondering that this Shri Aurobindo reference that you gave about Stalin and Hitler, did he talk more about history?
I exactly don't remember. Was it Stalin or Lenin? Either of these. One individual he mentioned that he was a...
Lenin was not entirely evil. I don't think he has a very evil...
Either way. So my point is that there are people who have caused tremendous amount of damage, huge amount of mass scale deaths and all that. Okay. And brutal deaths, cruel deaths. So that is also the other aspect of these beings, is they love cruelty. So the dharmic way of killing something is that you do it with the least amount of cruelty. You kill because eventually at the end of the day there will be wars. Lord Krishna fought wars, Lord Rama fought wars, but war that is justified, war when everything else has failed, and which does not necessarily involve cruelty, unnecessary cruelty.
War is a great point to kind of begin a tangent from this playground base level. I've always thought to myself about why wars happen in the first place. Because it's an explosion of suffering. Why are the gods, why are the deities looking down at this and almost allowing it to happen?
No.
Again, it's human free will.
Yes. So, so they are not allowing or disallowing. They don't think like that. Allowing, disallowing. War will always be there whenever there is friction in your heart. That is the beginning of war. As simple as that. Now you get collectively together and then you fight, or you just sit together, sit in a chair and be grumpy ki my boss is doing like that and that guy. The war has already started. So it is a human tendency.
Very small anecdote, but I believe it said about, I don't remember which Mughal ruler, but there was one particular Mughal ruler that tried invading the northeast and he couldn't conquer the Ahom dynasty in Assam.
Yes.
And there's a story about how
Yes.
during that battle, there was some kind of tantra used by the Ahom kings.
Yes.
I'd seen a YouTube video about this, I think. Have you heard of this?
Yes, this is a very famous incident. In fact, in the history of the Assam that is written formally in texts and all that, so they mention that, and it was originally mentioned by the Muslim chroniclers themselves. Okay, so in one of the attacks that was done on the Kamrup kingdom there, it's said the Muslim chroniclers believe that what happened is overnight the attack happened, and the next day they found that the horses were there and the men were not there. It's like 100,000 people vanished or something like that. It created such a fear psychosis for a long time. Aurangzeb could not even gather an army to attack, because they used to say that how will you fight something that you cannot see? Okay, to attack the yes, definitely there was. So the whole point, one of the things in Tantra Shastra, there are these prayogas that are mentioned. All texts of Tantras will mention application of the power. If you have power, how do you know that you are powerful if you don't apply it? Just claiming that I am powerful is useless. You have to show to the world. As I said, it's the world who will judge. Your statements are meaningless. So in Tantra Tantra understands this principle. So every text of Tantra, and I'm not talking the wo 2 rupiya wala market mein milne wala, actual authentic scriptures of Tantra, of any deity, will always mention the prayogas at the end. What prayogas can be done. The reason is, discrimination is yours, ethics is yours, but suppose you need to apply it. Suppose your community is in threat, your country is in threat, your life is in threat, then you are at free will. Nature allows you that liberty to use those vidyas to protect yourself so far as possible.
What do you think was used in that particular battle?
I don't know, but I can assume that during those eras, places like Kamakhya, specifically Kamakhya, was far more intense. Now the people are gathering and all that, so a lot of people come. Even texts which are, say, 100 years old on Kamakhya, descriptions of pilgrims and all that. So there is to be this fear, and they would say that, if you go up the hill, make sure you come down before nightfall. Don't stay there too long, because there are various mysterious powers there. These places now are becoming more common. That a lot of people go there. It's not easy to explain to them what this is, but remember that for centuries there is to be a certain degree of reverence, also fear, with respect to the Kamakhya Pitha and the Nilachal Parvat, the mountain that is there on which Ma Kamakhya's temple is situated. And there are so many stories related to this. There are she's beautiful, she's playful, at the same time she can be very angry also. She's a different type of a deity. So all these things are there. So point is, when do you use what is up to your discrimination. Tantra is the method of accelerating an activity to the point where you attain perfection.
Accelerating an activity to the point where you attain perfection.
Yes. And that could be anything. You want to slap somebody, slap him so well that, that he doesn't come back to you again.
I don't remember who it was, but there was some spiritual person on the show where I'd questioned about my future. And that person said that don't worry, the upasana you're doing is creating so much power that anything you put it towards will be all right. Same logic as what you're saying, that you're generating spiritual power through some practice and then you can channelize it into any action.
Yes. Correct. And my point is, this is a specificity of Tantra, by the way. So other paths do not delve into prayogas. So their idea is that you are only spiritual, you do the spiritual activities and you transcend to the higher realms. Tantra, see, to make it very simple, the other spiritual paths consider certain qualities as very divine. Say love is divine, peace is divine, tranquility is divine, detachment is divine. All these things are divine, right? It's very nice. Tantra says all these are divine. Additionally, power is also divine.
Ooh.
Power, the source of all power is Mahashakti. She is the one who governs the power. She is the divine, governs all power. She is personified as Devi. So now when power comes into the equation, so your idea is that through sadhana you acquire If you're a right-minded upasaka, if you're an upasaka, so you're not one of those, Baba types sitting and doing jharphuk wala. If you're an upasaka, your aim is to reach the highest power. And there is, if you have an allergy to the word power, then Tantra Sadhana is not for you in the first place at all. You must be brave enough for that. You must understand that, no, you have to take that power. Without power, your movement upwards will not happen. As simple as that.
Yeah. Movement upwards is again another great point I wanted to bring forth. We spoke about this world around us as a playground. So now there are children playing the playground, which is all of us. Atheists, murderers,
Everybody.
warlords, saints, good people, podcasters. Everyone's in this
Right.
fishbowl, business people, whatever. Some people just want to stay in the material plane, and I guess that's okay if you don't put judgment upon those people. Some people suddenly spiritually awaken. That's all the people who are listening into this conversation who at least question the nature of reality, usually since their childhoods. Now, when you grow to a certain age, perhaps information reaches you in some form, which is again happening to the viewers through you, which is why people wait for your episodes for so long, because I think you're giving them nuggets of information. Now, let's visualize this as Rajarshi Nandy being one of the children in that playground. Okay, you're one of the more experienced children. So you figured out something about this playground and you're giving out these notes to people saying, you know what? If you look up there, that's Bhairava. If you latch onto that, that's Kamakya Devi. Is that a fair way of looking at Tantra? That these are the deities are, for lack of better words, higher beings which are able to actually lift you out of the playground and into a much better, bigger, happier, more peaceful, more powerful playground.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. So basically, for the sake of this conversation, this playground that I am talking about is only the human playground. Okay. Human beings are there. But, so they live in a different realm. If you worship them, what you attain is a closeness to them, and eventually you will start reflecting their qualities, and eventually you will transcend the so these, when I say that lust, power and money are the three things that corrupt, the problem with this is unrestricted amount of this is that eventually, and it is seen through thousands of years of experience across religions, philosophers, etc., they will lead to suffering. Okay. So at some point, while you enjoy the high, then the low will come, the suffering will happen. So the whole problem of this, of religion and philosophy, came with the understanding, how do I transcend suffering completely? That I may never, ever suffer. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, anyway.
Because being in that playground will make you
suffer.
go through suffering.
So this is Mrityu Loka. If at all, even if you have never suffered, the moment of death you will suffer. There is going to be some amount of pain in death. Okay. So this is the way it is. It is how it is. Right. So the reason we do Upasana of the Devatas is primarily because by doing so, eventually for the right person, you can transcend these qualities which make you suffer, and you become a reflection of the deity. Deities don't suffer these things. They are beyond, they are at a level that they do not suffer these things at all. And they have been there for thousands and God knows when, and they will always be there.
Do they suffer from anything?
I don't know. I don't think they suffer from anything. I think they are, from our perspective, eternal.
Okay. I won't take the name of the deity unless you wish to. But you said that X deity was relegated to become a Kshetrapal.
No, it's okay. Bhairava was relegated to become a Kshetrapal. Yes.
Relegated in sports terms means you finish at the bottom of the league, therefore you go to the lower league.
Okay, so this is basically that when the peak Bhairava Upasana used to happen in Kashmir and other places, after that fall happened, so Bhairava's role in the other sampradayas was that of a Kshetrapala. As well as in the Tantra sampradaya, his role is that of the peripheral guardian of the path. To some degree, he will also help in the being a guru of the path, and also at times as a consort of the path. But primarily the Upasana is happening of Devi. The focus was not on Bhairava. So Bhairava is on the sidelines. in the Tantric path, more or less. The peak Bhairava Upasana used to happen around, I think, 13th, 14th century, maybe 13th century. After that, it kept falling, and it kind of relegated. It relegated means it. What I mean is specifically, it kind of sort of shifted towards more large part of folklore, large part of colloquialism in there, not necessarily based on complete shastras. Some places, yes, but not so much. He was never, almost rarely ever the primary devata.
Unlike Shiva, unlike Devi.
Shiva. Yes, that's what I mean.
Okay. There's a statement that you keep repeating on the show and offline, which is that Bhairava is waking up again.
Yes.
There's a couple of questions. One, why was he asleep? Because, I mean, it could be argued that during the invasions, many Bhairav temples were destroyed. Therefore, there weren't that many people practicing Bhairav worship in the first place. But a more metaphysical way of looking at it is the deity is much more powerful than even war and warlords. So was it the deity's will to go to sleep for some time?
So that is a question where we cannot have a definite answer. We can speculate at best, okay? Because nobody really knows fully the mind of the deity. But deities can, and very often do, they may withdraw themselves from playing in the world for some period of time. The moment a deity withdraws himself or herself, what you will see is that experiences related to the deity will suddenly reduce. Great souls who are upasakas of the deity will stop getting born. That's one of the things that will happen. In fact, the average person's connection to the deity is very minor. Average human being doesn't understand deities too much, to be honest. Overall idea you have that I am born into Hindu family, so I know this is Hanumanji, this is Ma Durga and all that is there. But you really start connecting when there is at least one individual who has attained to some degree of contact with the deity. You follow that individual, through that individual you connect to the energy of the deity. This is a very standard practice across India. Okay. In Tarapit, for example, right now it's a very popular place in Bengal. A lot of people go there. Tarapit really became very famous after the birth and the life of Bhamakhepa. Bhamakhepa was a Siddha Purusha who used to remain in the cremation ground, who was like a child of Matara. Okay. So Matara was always there. Those who have to do the upasana, they used to go at one point. But the kind of fame that it has acquired right now is entirely because there was a Siddha who had attained perfection in the upasana of Matara. So this is what happens in the world also. So when a deity withdraws himself or herself, he makes sure that great Siddhas, individualistic one too may be there, but somebody who can awaken masses is not going to get born, who's connected to that deity, because he or she stops sending his energy, to put it in a very normal way of conversation.
So obviously even now there are certain deities that are dormant.
Yes.
Many?
Perhaps many. Perhaps there are deities who have never been active in the world of human beings.
Oh, okay.
They don't like interacting with humans.
I'd actually bought a book on witchcraft just out of interest, and it was about worldwide witchcraft.
Okay.
The moment I opened that book, firstly I got, sometimes you can just feel the consciousness of certain books also. How do you feel when you're going through the words,
right,
etc. I just felt very dark reading that book, so I didn't go through it completely, but I read the chapter on deities. It didn't actually have anything written about Hindu deities, but it had a lot written about Mesopotamian deities, Egyptian deities, etc. Like Ra, Anubis.
Right.
In Mesopotamia, there's Gilgamesh, few more. There are all these names that you've heard. There's Greek deities like Zeus, Hades, all these.
Right.
Those are perhaps the deities that have chosen to exit the human world.
Possible. The other thing is that some of those deities are actually worshipped among us also.
Go on.
For example, Anubis. So he has the face of a dog. Okay. And he's the one who takes a soul after death through their, I don't remember the terminologies, but they have a kind of a river they have to cross and all that. So he is the deity who has a connection to wolf, jackal, who is a connection to death, who is worshipped by the pharaohs, who's a male deity, who takes you across that river of death. This is exactly what Bhairava does. Of all places, why do you think they found out a deity who has the face of a jackal or a dog? It could have been cow, it could have been anything. Because the deity impresses his energy onto the upasakas. These are the seers. These are the rishis we call, okay, of a culture. So deity, this iconography of the devata also comes from the deity. It's not just some artist's random imagination. He inspires the mind. and says that, okay, this is how you look at me. This is the ayudhas, the weapons. This is the vahana. This is the etc. And then there are mantras, and all this gets revealed over time. And then the lesser upasakas like us, we follow those leads that have been given to us. Same way, a devata can appear in multiple cultures at multiple times. He is not tied to A or B culture at all. Most deities, very vast deities of the greatest realms, they're not connected to A or B specific culture. They may make their appearance in other cultures, but with some modification due to the local circumstances and other things, or based on the understanding of that culture, to modify itself.
So the playground has a limited number of bosses.
In what sense? In terms of deities?
Yes.
Yes.
And a part of the playground will view that same deity
In different manner.
as in from another part
Yes.
of the playground.
Yes.
So the kids sitting in South America probably are also worshipping
Possible.
a deity that's being worshipped in India.
Yes.
In the same way that Anubis from Egyptian culture is perhaps Bhairava. Okay.
Very likely.
Very likely Bhairava. What's the difference between Bhairav, Kal Bhairav, Mahakal and Shiva?
So Shiva, when you say, let us assume Sadashiva. Sadashiva is the very peaceful and calm form. For practical purposes, understanding, okay? For not going too much into the theory of it, for practical understanding of it, and this was told to me and which I found very useful in my own sadhana. So moment you consider Shiva as outside of the cremation ground, who is married to Parvati, and there is children, Ganesha and Kartikeya, Soma Skanda, we call him the Murti, etc. So that is Shiva as the auspicious, most auspicious. The moment Shiva enters the cremation ground, he becomes Bhairava. He turns his rupa into that of Bhairava. In certain states of great power where it is needed, he turns himself into Bhairava. So Bhairava is not fundamentally different from Shiva. In fact, the Shiva Purana actually mentions this particular sloka that is there, which is, there's no difference between Shiva and Bhairava. It is only the Maya of Shiva that makes you see these two as different. Practically speaking, Bhairava is a more aggressive, intense form of Shiva that has some connection to the cremation grounds. Okay, cremation ground means death. So if Bhairava blesses somebody, he can also ensure what is your manner of death, when will you die, things like that. He has control over all these things. Okay, so that is one. Kala Bhairava is the primary form of Bhairava. Okay, Kala Bhairava is the form of Bhairava who emanated from Shiva. And the first thing that he did was, when did Bhairava come out? Because when the story says that Brahma started saying that he is as good as Shiva. Okay, and then out of the anger of Shiva, Kala Bhairava manifested, and with the nail of his little finger in the left hand, he cuts off Brahma's fifth head. Okay, for that arrogance, because Shiva is beyond Brahma. Then Brahma realizes that this is Shiva's only. Shiva is the supreme. That head of Brahma gets stuck in Kala Bhairava's hand. That is the first Brahma Hatya. Brahma Hatya means killing of a Brahmin. Okay, so Brahmin is, in that specifically era, somebody who leads his life by upasana of the deities, by the rules that is governing the deities, etc. So that is a thing of respect, right? So it acquires power, certain degree of power that comes in. It was the traditional idea I'm talking about, and I'm not going into the intricacies and years of caste system. But Brahmahatya is a sin, is a pap. Bhairava is the one who creates the first Brahmahatya, because he destroys the head of Brahma, who's the one who takes the Vedas and who gives the rules of the Vedas, etc., etc. So then it is said that in order that people do not get misguided, because after all, Brahmahatya is a very negative thing, so he takes up a penance. Just to show people, it's a lila, we call it a play. He doesn't need to do it because he's already very high up, but he takes up this penance. Shiva tells him that you go ahead begging with that bowl in your hand. Okay, what is that bowl? That is the skull of Brahma in his hand. So he goes around for 12 years across India and across the world universe. He goes to Vaikuntha. Vishnu is there. Vishnu looks at him and says that you are playing around. You are Shiva only. Okay, why are you doing this lila? things like that. And then Vishnu tells him, go to Kashi. So he enters Kashi. Moment he enters Kashi, that skull of Brahma that was there falls down at a place called Kapal Mochan. Okay. And that is why, and then he resides in Kashi permanently as a guardian of Kashi. Okay. Kashi is also a very spiritual state. So Kala Bhairava basically is a deity who sustains, creates, and who eats away your sins. He can destroy your sins.
Wash your karmas.
Wash your karmas. When he washes the karmas, sometimes there is a thing it's believed that suppose somebody dies in Kashi, you attain to the liberation completely. Okay, moksha. Liberation will come. But liberation comes due to, before that, there's something known as Bhairav Yatana. Yatana means pain. Bhairava, what he does is that in a very brief period of time, the karmic things that you had to experience across many lifetimes, he will ensure that it is, you undergo that in a very brief span of time, and you finish off your karmas, and then you're free, and then you can be enlightened. He gives that. There's a metaphysical meaning to this. Kashi is also a particular state where it is of intense luminous light and very powerful and beautiful, very deep condition. Bhairava is the one who guards that place. He ensures who can enter and who is fit to enter and who is not fit to enter. Okay. He is a Kshetrapala, no doubt. He guards Kashi, but also he becomes eventually, as Kala Bhairava, there's another aspect. The name Kala is specifically given. He can scare Yama, he can scare death. So death, which is the most transformative and perhaps the most dangerous thing we have, or something that causes fear in everybody, that itself is scared of Bhairava. Which means that Bhairava Upasana eventually, if a person continues, will slowly make you fearless. That quality will rub off into an individual. And when I say fearless, I don't mean fearless of ghosts and all that. Most of the time we are fearful of circumstances, of people, of life in general, what is going to happen tomorrow, what is going to happen. He takes you to a state, Bhairava takes you eventually to a state that you are able to digest reality as it is. And you're not scared, you're not running away. You are where you are. He does it not by changing your circumstances. That is possible. He can do that. If he is happy, he can. I get so many mails from people. They started Bhairava Upasana and some magical good thing happened, etc. Very nice. But the primary thing is that he gives you the power to go through that fear. And then you attain to a condition where you don't care. That is very typically one of his blessings.
Detachment, basically.
Yes, a sense of detachment, but also activity. Bhairava is a very active deity. Shiva, if you're now coming back to Shiva, so the way we worship Shiva is there and Parvati is there. So his Shakti is outside. Okay. So Shiva, in a way, is the personification of the static state of realization. So you come into Shiva Tattva and you become very peaceful and calm and you are not bothered about dunya kya kar raha hai, mere ko kya karna hai. That type of a thing. Shiva creates. Spiritually, for example, Ramana Maharishi. Okay. Just like that, he sits in the mountain. He's in a very exalted condition. Shakti is outside. Shakti is what creates the world, runs the world. Shiva is detached from that. But in the Bhairava state, Shakti is inside him. So Bhairava will make you very active also. He will make you work.
What is Mahakal?
Mahakal is time personified in a way. And Mahakal is the highest form of Bhairava.
It is a Bhairava.
Yes, Mahakal Bhairava. And Mahakal is worshipped not only among us but also among Buddhas. And it is perhaps around 11th, 12th century. I was interestingly reading about Mahakal practices among Buddhists. I don't know much about them. But somebody gifted me a very beautiful Mahakal painting. So 11th century, there was a monk, I don't remember his name, who had come to Nalanda and he was meditating on the cremation grounds near that, and he sees, gets an instruction or inspiration from Mahakal, and he takes that Mahakal practices to Tibet, and through him eventually, when all the schools of Tibetan Buddhism have some or the other Mahakal related practice as a primary guardian deity of the sampradaya, as a protector of their dharma and things like that. Okay.
Chakra Samvara, I think
That is another deity. I think Mahakal is another. Okay.
I believe Chakra Samvara is their version of Shiva. because it
Okay.
resides on Mount Kailash with his wife, who's represented by red and he's represented by blue.
Okay.
I mean, at least it's too strong a parallel to not
So
be.
there is these are all controversial zones actually, because it's possible that some of their practices may have been inspired by the original Shiva Tantra that was there around Kashmir, etc. So yeah, there may be similarities even in the Paddhatis, but they do very strong Tantra sadhana. There is no doubt about it. At leaving aside the deities, leaving aside the mantras, etc. Many of the Paddhatis and all that, which whatever I've read from the internet, of course, I have no direct experience of them, is definitely very hardcore Tantra sadhana.
Paddhati is?
Paddhati is method of sadhana. Okay. So Mahakal goes there. In India also Mahakal is there. Ujjain Mahakal is there. But the Mahakal practices here were more confined to the Aghori Sampradayas. Very less was done in its proper hardcore manner among the average upasakas. There are two ways in which people can approach Mahakal. One is through the Tantra Marga, where Mahakal Bhairava is the consort of Dakshina Kali. Okay. In this krama, the only being that is more intense than Mahakal is Kali. Okay. But to reach her, you will need his blessings, because he is the one who is the mantra drashta. He is the one who sees the mantras of Kali and gives it to the world. Okay. There is somebody called Kali who is so and so, which is the mantra for it, how to do purushcharana of it, etc. All that. And there is the other krama. Krama means path of movement. Other path of movement where one can go from Bhairavas, Kala Bhairava, and then Mahakal Bhairava. Okay. So there are no other feminine deities involved. So that is also possible. But Mahakal practices have more or less reduced in intensity in India. What is there is minor, and it is confined only to some, Augur Sampradayas, etc. So it is not as abiding, as powerful and widespread, sort of, and as intense, obviously. Because what happens is, if he is not the Mula Devata, if somebody is not the primary deity, then your puja paddhati, etc., will be subservient to this primary deity, whoever you consider.
You know, when you're growing up in Mumbai, you will be connected to Sanatan Dharma if you're born in a Hindu family in some way or the other. But it's not the version of Sanatan Dharma you often see in, say, Banaras or Punjab or wherever. Like here, it's a lot about Ganpati worship. Like, so you see a lot of Ganeshji. Like the first time I heard the word Mahakal was actually the Virat Kohli video where he goes, Jai Mahakal.
Jai Mahakal, acha.
Now, one way of looking at the situation is on a surface level, that Virat Kohli went to Ujjain's Mahakal and said Jai Mahakal. A deeper way of looking at it is, this is the country's biggest icon and it's one of the world's biggest icons. He's saying something related to religion. He had a very important life event in this particular temple, and eventually one day, hopefully 100 years into the future, Virat Kohli is going to pass away. And 100 years after that, not too many people will even remember him, who's possibly the most famous Indian right now. That is what Mahakal is. But Mahakal chose this one icon to be able to say his name in terms of Jai Mahakal. It taught me as a guy in Mumbai who's never heard of Mahakal, it taught me about Mahakal. And now here we are on this podcast, which is going to get watched by 1 million people, and amplifying Mahakal, because I'm a Virat Kohli fan and I'm a Kal Bhairav worshipper. I've still not understood what Mahakal is. I mean, it's the closest I've come to understanding it. But the deeper way of looking at it is that these deities are waking up now.
Another thing about Mahakal is, there are Mahakal mantras. Okay. And japa and all that, everything can be done. Mantra is a way to connect to a deity. Okay. Mahakal mantras are there. I find meditation on Mahakal to be more fruitful than mantra sadhana. If you can meditate, which is unfortunately 90% people cannot. Okay. Meditation is not just sitting. Your full concentration is there. Mahakal is that being which is at the last frontier of your imagination.
Wow.
Jiske baad aur kuch, your mind is going to now burst open in the seams. It can't go beyond this. Last thing.
Edge of the universe.
Edge. It's like, suppose you are losing consciousness. Last second mein jo yaad rehta hai, that is Mahakal. And he can take any shape, any form, anywhere. From a chair to a enlightened being, he can become anything. The very edge of your universe is Mahakal. Edge of your universe.
Do you know that the Mahakal Mandir is being visited by other cricketers as well? Kuldeep Yadav's gone there. My friend
Okay.
KL Rahul's gone there.
Okay.
And I asked KL how it was. He was just like very, very powerful. Too powerful. My question is, these are really high profile people. What in that temple is calling these people there? Or bringing these people there? And why that particular temple?
But come to think of it, if you go into history, these temples have always attracted powerful people. Kings have gone there, ministers have gone there. Who else has not gone there? In that era, that time, whoever was the most powerful people, they would have gone there. Whoever was ruling, say, in those areas and of Hindu faith would have surely gone there.
The overarching question here is, why does it attract powerful people?
No, it attracts everybody, I feel. Perhaps sometimes what happens is they go there and they see some positive event happens in life. So you get more emotionally connected to that space.
Why does the positive event happen after you go to that temple?
That could be just random.
Okay.
That could be random. That could be maybe some past life link is there, or could be hundreds of other reasons. So yeah.
I've heard a lot of people say that it fast forwards your karmas again, which is what you said, I think, about Bhairava.
No, that is if you're doing the sadhana. See, there are two things you have to understand this very clearly. You can go to any temple in the world. Okay. You can go to Mahakal, you can go to Mahakamakya, you can go anywhere, have darshan, do normal puja, come back. That is one thing. Everybody is allowed to do all that. The moment you do sadhana, that is when your karmas are going to burn. That is when the deity's attitude towards you will change completely.
Okay. I'm genuinely not trying to make this an egoistic conversation and talk about just me here, but it's one of the easiest ways to explain thoughts better. You know that I'm grateful towards you for introducing me to whatever little sadhana that you've introduced me to. And the sadhana that I'm practicing is exactly what is available on your YouTube channel. In that one video, you've just mentioned a few things.
Yes.
You've in fact told me to do a step which I've not yet done because somewhere internally I don't feel ready for that step. Can I say it?
No, it's okay. We'll say it later. Okay. Not here.
Okay. The basically what I'm doing right now is I have a mala given to me by our common friend, dear friend Bhavesh Bhai, Bhavesh Yug.
Yes.
He got me a mala from Rishikesh.
Okay.
And I'm just doing an Om Bhairavaya Namah chanting on it.
Right.
My Anushtan with the deity is one mala a day. But I ensure it goes up to 5 because I don't know, my natural aggression has made its way to the sadhana probably. And on days I take it to 10. There are occasional days where I take it to like 20 sometimes. But 5 is usually what happens. So this practice that I'm doing, could it be argued that when a human is doing this kind of a practice, is it more powerful than just visiting a temple? Or equal? Or comparable?
So it's about what is your aim. What is your aim? So an upasaka's aim, sadhak's aim is to transform himself. A person who is going to the temple normally is not going to transform himself. He is going there to have darshan, pray, मुझे ये चाहिए वो चाहिए, थोड़ा दर्शन करके आ गया, पानी चढ़ा के आ गया, सब ठीक है अपने जगह पे. Sadhana it changes the perspective. You are trying to change yourself, and immediately the deity will also change the perspective towards you. I used to tell some people whom I guide, I used to tell them specifically to bring a reference to Matara, for example. So we have Tarapit and we have many other places. So it is wonderful to visit Tarapit. Anybody can visit any time. Kabhi bhi chale jao, it's wonderful. You have a terrific darshan. Brilliant. Terrific. Now start the mantra sadhana of Ugratara. Then you will understand that तुम्हारा कितना दम है पता चल जाएगा.
What happens?
Nothing. It is like putting your hand inside a tornado. To give a very brief idea.
Things happen in your life.
It will happen. Her Bhairava is Akshobhya. Akshobhya means steady. She's already telling you that you have to be steady. So she's not asking that you do the sadhana. If you want to do the sadhana, if you're inclined to do the sadhana, then you have to become that steadiness has to be there. And that's, I'm giving one example. Same would perhaps apply for Mahakal also. You sit and do Mahakal mantra japa. and you go and you have a proper guru upadesh and all that, and you have the right mala and all that, and you go and sit for say 10 days. I'll sit in the Mahakal temple premises anywhere, and I will start doing Mahakal mantra japa. Okay? When the mantra starts activating, it connects to your Chit Shakti, the deity will start manifesting somewhere. Then you will be tested. It's not that simple that it will just come with you because I have bhakti. No. Do you have the capacity for it? That is the thing. But the good thing about nature is that if you have patience, eventually one day you will succeed. It may take lifetimes, but success will come eventually.
We spoke about how the earthly playground is the fastest place for growth, potentially one of the fastest.
Yes.
Which is why lower beings are also born here.
Yes.
Are higher beings also born here?
Yes.
So we spoke about how lower beings could manifest as extremely evil historical figures who create mass destruction. Do they also pray to the deities?
They pray. Everybody prays to someone upstairs.
They have
according
something.
to their tendencies or something.
They pray to their own deity.
So what is a prayer exactly?
The thing you said about transformation.
No. So prayer is, you can pray to anything or anybody. I can pray to my boss in the office, I need a leave. That's a prayer. So you are looking up to something and you are asking for something. That is a prayer fundamentally. Okay. So that they do. That everybody prays to something. Whomever you are looking up to is kind of you're at that time, that is your boss or somebody who can grant your prayer. Whether it works or not is different matter, but that's the way. So yes, in that sense they do.
It brings me back to that previous point about, it's actually a Batman dialogue. Ki it's not what you are underneath, it's your actions that define you. So if a lower being, if a very evil person also does the sadhana, there will be some benefits that they will gain from it.
No. So coming back to another point that I had mentioned, the idea of morality, good and bad, we have it. It doesn't work there, it doesn't work downstairs.
Sure.
नीचे का भी नहीं है, ऊपर में भी नहीं है उतना. So they can pray that I want more evil powers. There are a lot of gods who have nothing to do with the human realm at all. For them, it doesn't matter. You are just one more species in the zoo of species.
Some random ant.
And then there are so many cycles of creation that have happened. Absolutely insignificant.
We are just a small ant.
With small ant with a huge ego कि सब हमारे लिए बन गया है, ऐसे types का. So for them, if those entities are praying ki, give me more of those powers. And we have evidence of this in the Shastras only. The Asuras how did the Asuras become powerful? They would do terrific sadhana. The kind of sadhana they do, humans can't do those type of sadhana. And through that, they attain powers. Fantastic blessings and powers. So much power they attain that they can challenge the gods. They defeat the gods. They take over the Swarga or the divine planes. Until finally the main deities who are beyond the normal gods, realm of the normal gods, Vishnu or Shiva or Devi or something, or Skanda, Kartikeya, they finally, any of them gets involved in and then destroy the Asuras. But the slightly lesser deities, they can easily overcome. But how do they do? They do that because they practice their sadhanas. So there are no, in these beings, even in the negative beings, there are no atheists, by the way. There are no atheists. Atheists are actually a very safe category.
Atheists are only
अपनी दुनिया में मस्त है, so long as they are not obstructing what I know people who are atheists. The common equation is that I will not discuss this with you, but you should not have any kind of obstruction to what I am doing, in the sense, so long as you follow a certain basic respect for the individual, and that individual respects whatever you do, whether you believe or not is irrelevant. And so long as my practice is not causing any direct or indirect physical or other harm to anybody, it's none of your business. It's very safe.
Fair. So you've answered one question in terms of those lower beings also definitely pray to the deities. The second question I have for you is on that playground. Not all higher beings are deities. There are higher beings that are lower than deities.
Yes.
They could be born in our realm.
Absolutely.
So how we spoke about the lower beings being born in our realm and then causing havoc. and pain and
Yes.
suffering. When the higher beings are born in our realm, what do they cause?
Their innate capacity will manifest in something or the other in this realm. So there could be somebody who comes from the realm of, there are divine musicians called Gandharvas. If they get born, they'll still make fantastic music here. Terrific means beyond terrific. It's what we call genius level compositions or something like that. So genius is something that cannot be imitated. Gifted, talented means you practice and you have this much talent. You practice, you go up to this much talent. Gifted, theek hai. Genius is like a jump at a different scale.
Unachievable.
Unachievable. Either you are there or you are not there. It's as simple as that.
Lionel Messi.
In football, perhaps. In music, if you're talking, say Beethoven or something, I'm just giving a random example, or Mozart or this type of people. It's very likely that they are some of these beings who come down to the earth plane and get born here.
And often may not know that they are higher beings.
They will not know. So the Maya is very strong. The Maya of the goddess is very strong. She will ensure that once you're born here, it's a filter on your head. You don't remember what you are from, where you are coming from.
But why is that soul born here in the first place? Again, for advancement.
There may be some desire. The whole world runs on desire. The mother of all desires is Kameshwari. Whole world runs on desire. Every moment there's a desire. There's a desire in the cells of your body. When you are, suppose, sitting down and suppose you are getting a tattoo done and you are feeling pain. So before your brain registers all, your cells are screaming out in desire that no, I don't want this. Desire is ingrained into life. There's nothing, without desire, you are not even a stone. You are just out of the equation. That is why Kameshwari is the ultimate of all forms. She produces desires even in other beings, higher beings. She controls desires.
Perhaps that's why Bhairava's biggest blessing is detachment.
Yes, some amount of detachment from the lower kind of desires. So that you have the bandwidth to inculcate and contemplate on the higher type of desires.
Which is what?
I want to go spiritually higher. I want to experience the other realms. If your mind is always in the lower three chakras, it will not go up. So that is how these things work.
There are obviously also higher beings that are born here and know that they are higher beings.
Depends. In my view, 90% don't know, 95%.
Do we have it in India?
I'm sure there must be. I'm sure there must be across the world, not just India. I'm sure there must be there. I'm sure that, so basically what happens is their tendencies are that aligned to that particular domain of expertise they have. So they're so naturally tuned to that wherever they may be born, they'll still end up doing that activity only. And they'll do it to a tremendous degree of perfection that the world will say, "Wah, matlab kya kar gaya hai?" So terrific.
And perhaps history will also remember them as a god.
They will remember them as a great individual in that field. So it's not the word God. So suppose a musician, great musician, terrific compositions and all that and whatever it is, and then he dies. For centuries and centuries, people are saying what a great musician. In his personal life and other things may be completely nonsense. So this is the thing. Just because somebody, in fact, more often than not, somebody of the higher beings, when they come here, they have adjustment issues. First thing. They're not accustomed to being with human beings. Na? So one of the typical things that you'll see that they're very bad behavior towards others.
Damn.
More or less. And they will be known by people around. So this is not always, but this is largely either rude or arrogant or somebody who has perhaps suffering from some kind of range of mental disorder or some behavioral issues or this, that, etc. Can't relate to people, or maybe completely a loner, or may end up having innumerable relationships or something like that. So, a person who is a complete loner, cut off, and who has innumerable relationships, both are somewhere internally there is a loneliness in both cases. They're both looking for something and not finding it. Okay, so these beings, if they're born suddenly, it's like that somebody who lives in a country and suddenly is transplanted into another country. There's an adjustment issue that can happen. I mean, let's go back to the era when there was no television. So you don't know what is America. Kuch pata nahi hai. Suppose you go from here to there. It's natural that you will have some days of the way they dress, where they speak, where they eat, or things like that. You don't know anything. Zero knowledge. suddenly. You may not like it also. And very often they do not even lead very happy lives. But the talent is so crazy level, so absolute level of talent. It's ingrained in them. They may or may not be happy, but they'll still produce absolute masterpieces.
Comment down below. Who are your picks of higher beings reborn in our earthly realm? I've just got an intuition to stop this episode now.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Fun first conversation after ages. I was looking forward to this one. But now that we've hit this flow, we're going to go deeper.
Okay.
I want to give a shout out to you again for also being part of Level Supermind. Thank you, sir. Like that whole app has been made with our heart.
Right.
And every time I'm recording any of those meditations, I truly put my heart and soul in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just glad that you're also present on the app. And I hope you had a good experience.
Yes, and I hope that a lot of people actually do the Bhairava meditations and it benefits them spiritually.
Yeah. I want to talk in the next episode about this overall rise of consciousness of Bhairava.
Yes.
That's a topic that we've not unlocked.
Correct.
So we'll head into that.
Fantastic.
There is a rise of the deities happening.
Yes.
And I've posed this question to lots of people and everyone's answered it from a bhakti point of view. Some have dismissed it. You're the only person who can truly answer this rise of the deities angle. So I will see you in 2 minutes.
Yes.
We'll see you guys next month. Sorry. See you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the episode. 1 out of 4 epic episodes has now been uploaded. That's what you just saw. What I will tell you is that it kept becoming more and more intense as we kept recording. The 2nd, 3rd and 4th episodes got even heavier, even more complex. So I can't wait to release them honestly, but we'll be releasing them slowly. What I will tell you again is that if you want more of Rajarshi Nandy, make sure you head over to Level Supermind. There is only a certain amount of guidance and mentoring that you can receive from these knowledge bombs that we create on the Ranveer Show. But if you truly want to imbibe the real knowledge of Tantra, you have to begin some kind of practices yourself. At least begin with some basic meditations related to the world of Tantra. You're going to be able to find them on this collaboration over on Level Supermind. Make sure you download it. The links are given down below. All I'll say is that an epic lineup of podcasts is coming at you on this YouTube channel through the Ranveer Show. Ranveer will be back soon. The team will be back soon. And you know it, Rajarshi Nandy is going to come back for another 3 epic episodes of this epic Tantra series.